position number 15, which is our total of our field.
I must make a point of going and finding Danny Castro Senior later. Very, very good sports sedan driver back in the day. It's a bit concerning, all these second generation names we're seeing, but never mind that. Red lights are out and away we go. Let's see who's doing the business. It looks like the front row of the grid's got a very even start, but if anything, Danny Castro's got his nose ahead. Yep, Danny Castro leads into the first corner.
Yeah, we've got Burks in second, Ricketts in third, and then that black Honda has dropped back to fifth position, I think. There, we're just watching it come
Fourth,
through. 13. That's Giattini, and cocking a wheel off the ground as he goes through turn 2, and Bob Jowett runs alongside him. So two Hondas there running together, and one that did make a good start was the Woolridge Escort, which has found himself up a couple of positions in that number 37 car.
I will point out that the Giantini car did a 300 kilometre race a week ago.
Yeah. And it looks like Jowett's going to slip up the inside of him as they rise from turn 5 to 6, and takes that position away. And actually did quite well in that race, didn't it?
It did. I believe it might have won its class.
I think so. I think it finished in the top 3 of the race.
So you'd think it'd be a fairly tired car after that, but here it is, ready for another go. Now both Hondas have their fuel flaps open, and here we are on board with Michael Burks.
Right up the back of the Castro Nissan as they go down through. Oh, we've got one around. That's the 163 that's spun around.
One of the Renaults. Now, it's not like a front-wheel drive car to spin on the way out of a slow corner, so he might have had some help. This will give us an idea of who's got the straight line speed. So Burks is certainly seems to be closing on the Nissan down the straight, and vroom, underneath him into turn 1.
Yeah, that answered that question pretty quickly. So it's now Burks who leads the way. Castro in second, Ricketts in third, and Jowett in fourth. Top 5 are all fairly close together at this point, covered by, I would say, about 2.5 seconds after the opening lap.
Danny Castro in second place, waving the flag for the rear-wheel drive cars. Next of those is Matt Wildridge in his Mark II Escort. His dad's not racing this weekend in his Mark I Escort. The Wildridge name well known as fabricators and panel beaters, based in the Camden area.
Used to run sports sedans many years ago, didn't they?
Did used to run a sports sedan.
Capri, memory? So here's this battle here between Wheelridge and Molesworth. Again, rear-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive, and Molesworth's got a good run out of turn 6 and takes that spot away.
I'll have that.
Jowett at one point in the number 4 Civic there was one of the leading under 2 litre contenders, but the last couple of years has been overshadowed somewhat, but this weekend putting in a solid effort.
There's always development going on with these cars. They're fairly highly engineered these days. They're not just a slightly modified road car anymore.
No, of course, originally the category was called road registered, and then it became clud cars because they figured, what's the point of being road registered if you're not going to drive it on the road? The criteria being that it just required a pink slip by that stage, which is what they did.
A couple of locked wheels there between Ricketts and Jowett.
And with Jowett had to really pull out the stops, or he was going to go into the back of that Pulsar.
Well, I was wondering which of them was most out of control, but both of them managed to gather things together.
And Jowett's very keen to get past, isn't he?
He seems to have the speed over Ricketts, and the Pulsar gamely hanging on to third place.
So Ricketts is managing to hold on to there. And I believe we've got a replay coming up of what happened at the turn 8 hairpin on the opening lap.
Correct.
Stand by,
Creek corner.
Is it? Yeah, here we go.
That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
did it all on his own.
All on his own.
Oh, man, how close was that? The Volvo nearly going into the front of the Renault.
Well, that was a near thing, and that got everybody's attention, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I'll withdraw my earlier comment about front-wheel drive cars not spinning on the way out of corners.
It certainly did.
I wonder if he lifted off the throttle slightly. Whoa, a little nudge. Hello, here I am.
Yeah, Jowett's very keen to get past, and I think he's finding he can brake later than the Pulsar, but the Pulsar's in his way. So he's had to hit the anchors a bit harder than what he normally would, and therefore has to settle behind. But in the meantime, Burks has pulled out a fairly handy lead, almost 3 seconds over Castro, and then we've got another 3.2 seconds back to this pair that are putting on quite an entertaining dice at this stage.
I think it's fairly clear that Ricketts is holding Jowett up, and here comes Jowett down the inside. Can he make it stick? And then one of the escorts coming into the pits, Burson.
Well, he's made that move stick.
Or has he? No, yes, no. Oh, and Michael Burks, that's not right.
No, he's got a drama.
Oh, that's not good at all. That's
no, he's got going again. So maybe he just miscued on the... No,
he's just getting off the track. Yeah.
So and now actually returns, lets the traffic get past. And there you can see Molesworth and Wilbridge going by him. That's unfortunate for our pole sitter and our camera car as well.
Yeah.
Let's hope he's back for the later races. So Matthew Burks out of this one. But still, this good race is going on in Castro's wake. Castro through his lead now is over 4 seconds, but this battle for second is still going on. Well, now for second, we've got Jowett, Ricketts and Giattini. Certainly putting on a good scrap here, and Jowett hasn't been able to pull away since he's been able to relieve Ricketts of that position.
There's really not a lot in it, is there? What?
Oh, there's another slow car.
Well, 3 or 4 of them all in a row.
They're all sort of slowing down for some obscure reason. Interesting point coming through from Max Robson's dad, Tim, on the Danny Castro car. This is first season back more than a decade. The car was a rebuild that was crashing a big Starline shunt with Graham Cox many years ago. That's Jordan Cox's dad.
It is. Is he as scary a driver as Jordan?
Graham? No. Jordan's one of a kind. Actually, does a lot of work on the Ricketts car, and would probably be on the cans with Michael Ricketts this weekend.
Will it be either him or John Boston?
Yes. And we've got the 163. This is the Smythe car coming back and battling with young Max Robson at this stage, with Fitzgerald actually, and Robson just behind. So a 3-car battle going on there, and they're actually fighting for 9th, 10th and 11th. Well, they're fighting for 9th.
Yeah. Where
they'll actually end up is yet to be determined.
Well, Michael Burks has come into the pits as we expected. So hopefully that's nothing that's going to put him out for the weekend.
Yeah. Let's hope Matt Burks can come back and be part of the next 2 races tomorrow. And we've just seen a change with the Clio going through and picking up position, so that moves Smythe up to 9th ahead of Fitzgerald. Now Robson on the back of Fitzgerald, wanting to take that position away if he possibly can. This is Tim Robson's old car. Tim's moved on to run in another Honda in over 2 litre. We'll see him out there later in the day. And interesting that Giattini, the brothers, will run the car in both categories today as well. So Matt's obviously got the job in under 2 litre and Alex in over 2 litre.
How is it suddenly an over 2 litre car?
You can just run it. It's not a problem. Remember Jordan Cox running his Honda Civic in over 2 litre and winning that a couple of seasons back when they still had that car. So this race is just got over 3 minutes remaining. They are on lap 7, and then we've just seen young Max go around the outside of Fitzgerald to take that spot away. What a good move at turn 5. And of course, if you take a wider line through a corner, you're going to carry more speed anyway, aren't you? But you've got to be game to do it.
Well, you're carrying more speed, but you're travelling a greater distance. Whoa, that was a bit of a moment. So Ricketts has had a slow exit from turns 2 and 3.
And Giattini up the inside of him. They run side by side through turn 4. And Ricketts will get it back at 5, but then Giattini could get a run on him out of 6 as they head up over the hill towards 7. And no, not quite close enough. So the move initially sort of half worked and then it didn't.
But it's got him back in touch. So although he's dropped away a little bit again.
What it's allowed Jowett to move away from him. And I think Giattini may have problems. That car might not appear in the over 2 litre race. So it as you said, it did 300 kilometres out here last weekend, and maybe now it needs a bit of tender loving care. He's certainly slowed up.
I can remember, he's got an issue. Lucky 13.
Unlucky 13.
Well, you know it's bad luck to be superstitious. Meanwhile, Danny Castro flying 3.2 seconds ahead of Jowett.
Nice welcome back to racing in improved production, isn't it, at this stage? The gap, as you said, 3.2 seconds with a further 5.2 seasons back to Ricketts. With Giattini now pulling into the pits.
Yep.
So another one that puts Molesworth up to 4th spot ahead of Wildridge. And then the two Lamore cars will be 7th and 8th, and which will become 6th and 7th. And Max Robertson will be further up in the top 10.
Here comes Danny Castro.
And the rear-wheel drive is going to win the under 2 litre race at this stage anyway. But Jowett's the one that's impressed me this weekend, because being not a front runner of recent times, to all of a sudden be in the fight. Ricketts in 3rd now, Molesworth 4th, Wildridge in 5th, and it's 2 Lamore cars 6th and 7th. Robson in 8th, Fitzgerald 9th, and Seeley will be 10th. And that'll be it, because we've got Smythe, Burks and Burson all in the pits along with Giattini. So 4 cars out. So it's been a race of tolls.
Here's our checkered flag. So Danny Castro takes that checkered flag. A comfortable win in the end by a couple of seconds from Bob Jowett, who had an eventful race. And Mike Ricketts, fairly lonely in the end there, at about half a year ahead of Molesworth's Salika. And here comes Matthew Wildridge in 5th in the Escort. I think it'll be time to give this up when we start talking about our mates' grandchildren racing.
Yeah. Well, that is the end of the first Improved Production Under 2 litre race. And there is the official final results. Danny Castro, the winner, from Bob Jowett, with Michael Ricketts in 3rd, Tim Molesworth in 4th, Matt Wilridge in 5th, Matt Lamore in 6th, Mark Lamore in 7th, Max Gagan, he said Gagan then, Robson in 8th, Mike Fitzgerald, Jonathan Searley round out our 10. There's a lot of M's in there to start the weekend, and unfortunately the rest of the field were DNFs out of this. And that included Giattini, Smythe, Burks and Person. I don't think McCullum made the start. We're going to take another break, and we're going to be back with the big bangers. The sports sedans will be the next ones out.
From this angle. Red light.
And away they go, and Castro's had a fairly slow start. Craig Rilridge has had a good one. Matt Rilridge has had a great start from the 3rd or 4th row, and actually he's going to be 2nd by the look of it. And here we see on board with Burks going down to turn 1. He's picked up a couple of spots. You can see the Volvo going around the outside there. That's one of the Lamores in that car. And the 13 going through too, which is Giattini, who was another who didn't finish in yesterday's race. So they're the two that'll be strong from the back. Giattini was, I think, 4th on the road when he went out yesterday, and battling for 2nd position at that time, or 3rd position at that time. So it's Jowett who leads the way, Rilridge in 2nd, Ricketts 3rd, Castro after that slow start in 4th, then it's Molesworth, and then the first of the Lamores, that's the number 43.
It'll be Mark in the Renault. And then Matthew Burks in the Corolla.
Followed by young Robertson in the Celica. Max Robertson. Robson? Yeah.
Robson's son.
Robbo's son.
Yeah.
That's easy.
I'm glad you pointed out who that was on the dummy grid. I wouldn't have recognised him. When did he get that old? When did we get that old? Danny Castro now picking up a spot, has moved back into 2nd place ahead of Matt Wildridge. It's still Bob Jowett, well out in front, then Castro, then Wildridge, then Molesworth and Giattini, Burks and 2 of the Lamores.
Yeah, both with M's.
Whoop, and there's Fitzgerald. Is he stopping or getting Reese? No, he's stopping.
That's out of turn 8 on the inside of the track. So the attrition rate again, we had a fairly high attrition rate where most of them got the pits. I think Castro's got more problems. He's conceded a couple of spots. The Giattini boys, it has been, I've been told, spent till midnight replacing the gearbox in that Honda. So at the moment he's running in. He's up in the 3rd spot, so they've made a great start. And unfortunately Castro with dramas.
Looks like the fire's gone out there. He's pulling onto the grass at driver's left coming out of turn 2.
And here's
Matt Burks diving down the inside of Molesworth's Celica. With a bit of Toyota on Toyota action.
2 different sorts, of course, Corolla versus Celica. That puts him up into,
I think that'll be
4th
3rd
position. Fitzgerald makes it back to the pits. His race is done. So it's Jowett in front. He leads by 4 seconds. It's a big lead over Giattini. Rilridge is in 3rd, but for how long, as we see Burke starting to make inroads there. There's a little bit of a gap, probably about 2 to 3 seconds at this stage.
This race brought to us by the sponsor of Matty Burks. That's Crisis Transport and Logistics.
And one would suspect that on that particular lap he did, in that sector it's a 16.2 as opposed to Rilridge's 18.3.
Yeah, coming.
They've actually got him the wrong way around. Sorry, got him 17.5 but he's certainly making ground. So at the moment, it's Bob Jowett out in front with Giattini second, Woolwich in third, Burks not that far behind him. We've got on board with Burks now in the Corolla, and he can go through that turn. He's picking him up well and truly.
It was so much quicker through turn 1 there.
Yeah, slips down the inside of turn 2 and takes that position away. Can he get to the front? We wait and see, because the two fastest cars out there are now second and third on the road, but they've got the job ahead of them. Yeah,
well, Giantini's got the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, 1:45.5. Only a tenth faster than Jowett. And Burke's got 1:46, and that's being done while passing cars, yeah, so he should have a couple of laps clear road now. Seeley needs to get his panel beater onto that roof. All the paint's lifted off there. Clearly his emphasis is more on making the car fast than pretty, and that's fair enough.
Jonathan Seeley, we're just watching go for turn 6. And yet another of the Hondas. A lot of Honda Civics seems to be a popular make for under 2 litres.
They're fast cars. You know, they're fast out of the box and pretty good.
The Volvo just ahead of the V40. So Jowett goes through leading the way. That gap's coming down. It's down to 3 seconds now over Matt Giattini, with Matt Burks in third spot, Matt Woolridge in fourth. It's a form Matt almost, if they get the 1, 2, 3. Tim Molesworth in the Celica going through turn 1, and he's well clear of the other thing. We should point out that Max Robson is in a 1.6 litre car as opposed to the 2 litre cars that are around him, so doing a pretty good job.
Clearly.
And Improved Production does recognise 1.6 litre as a class as well. Keep that in mind, so it's always something to go for. That lead down to 2.8 seconds, so Jowett will have his work cut out. He's got 6.5 minutes or just under to try and hold on. And Giattini's last lap was a 44.7 as opposed to Jowett's 45.39, but Jowett's responded by going fastest to the second sector of 15.20 as opposed to a 15.5, so he has got the speed there, and maybe he thought he could just give the tyres a little bit of a rest, but now we'll focus on ensuring that he stays well clear as we watch the Lamore and Seeley battle continue. Volvo against Honda, and I think the Honda's closing on him at this stage. In fact, getting very close as they come through turn 9 up to 10.
The Lamores have always liked to go their own way with things, haven't they? They're running a Volvo and a Renault. And nothing wrong with either of those things, but previously the family ran Triumph Dolomite Sprints.
Indeed, for a long time.
Which would be just about break your heart. They're a terrific and quick little car.
I'm just seeing a change of position there. So Seeley has moved up to 7th ahead of Lamore.
Well, Lamore made it pretty easy for him, just sidestepped and let him go. So maybe he's got a straight line issue. But
he's coming back at him now as they go down to turn 2. Yeah, maybe it's just not quick enough in a straight line as opposed to the Honda.
Maybe not picking up 5th gear or something. But
so Jowett's now set the fastest lap of the race at 44.76. Giattini at 44.78. So there's nothing in it.
No.
3.5 seconds to gap. Burks is still in 3rd. He trails by 3.1 seconds. So he's, I think he's just gone as far forward as he can in this race. Mind you, when you think about it, he sported him a fair start off the grid.
Oh yeah.
So to get back to that sort of level is ominous for the last race, which should be a humdinger with the 3 fast cars, all about the same pace, all up the front of the field.
Indeed, indeed.
And it's a pity. Let's hope we get Castro back and make it a 4-way thing.
Well, again, Danny's going to have to come from the rear. Jowett knocks off another lap. Nearly 4 seconds ahead now of Giantini. Just maintaining that gap, 145.2, 145.9. Giantini just, you know what, can't do anything about it, roll out of it.
Yeah, just get ready for the last one.
No point pounding your car into the ground.
So it's leaving Rob Jowett as a potential round winner with 2 strong finishes where all those around him have all failed in at least one race.
And we'll just point out that Molesworth has passed
Matt Wildridge.
Matt Wildridge, yeah. I keep wanting to say Craig.
Yeah,
that's his dad.
At the start.
Yeah.
That's what we know. We've been around too long. That's our problem.
Yep.
Yeah. So the first sector on this lap, they're all in the 31s, 31.0, 31.1, 31.6. So that just goes to show that they are well and truly the quick cars when you consider that the next 2 are doing mid-32s, and there's unfortunately
he doesn't
Danny
look happy.
Castro. No. Maybe he's thinking that this is going to cost a pretty penny to get ready for the next round.
Yeah.
I guess from a race car driver's point of view, you don't want to be watching the car races from that particular position.
No, indeed not.
Here's Molesworth in 4th position. It's probably the best finish that this combination's had. Certainly giving that left front tyre work out of turn 8.
It had a good understeer then, didn't it?
So we're down to just on 2 minutes, so we're probably 2 laps to go for our race leader.
And here's a car we haven't seen much of today.
The Capri.
Yeah. The McCallum car. That's a Mark 1 Capri running a 2-litre engine. They're a pretty valuable car these days. There was a time when you couldn't give them away.
Well, there was a time when most cars of that vintage you couldn't give away.
Yeah.
Most of them end up at wreckers. If we only knew now what we could have known then.
But if everybody had kept them, they wouldn't be worth anything.
Very popular car in England, the Ford Capri. In all configuration, I preferred the later ones myself.
Yeah, they're a little bit nicer.
Better looking car and bigger engines as well.
The 2.6 litre quad cam V6 Cologne Capri was pretty special. And they're still a real performer in historic touring car racing in Europe, where their rules are a bit different from ours.
Group 5, Group 2 cars. Here's Rob Jowett still leading from Giantini, and this is Matt Burks in that Toyota Corolla in 3rd position.
Had a terrific run from the rear of the grid. Gave us some great passing shots from the onboard camera earlier in the race.
Particularly off the start, and we've actually called it a 30 seconds short of its time, so Rob Jowett takes the win, and we'd have Giantini come across the line in 2nd position with Burks in 3rd, and Molesworth and Wildridge have closed up a bit on this last lap, but the Celica driver will get the nod just ahead of the Escort pilot. Then in the next position down should be Lamore in the Renault Clio, from Seeley in the Civic, and then of course the Volvo of Lamore in 8th spot, Robson 9th, and McCullum in the Capri will round out our finishes. We missed where Ricketts stopped too. We didn't see what happened to him. There are the official placings. As we can see them with Bob Jowett from Matt Giattini, Matt Burks in third, Tim Molesworth fourth, Matt Woolridge in fifth, Mark Lamore sixth, Jonathan Seeley seventh, Matt Lamore eighth, Max Robson ninth, and Peter McCullum round out the 10. We're going to take a break, and the next field out will be the Big Bangers, the Thunder Sports sedans. So we're about to get this one in the top three. There should be a good race between these three cars because they're all about the same lap times.
They got separated in the last race, and everyone just seemed to be happy to maintain
and
position.
Again, the Escort makes a great start. He's actually picked off Burks initially off the start, but it's the two Civics are running side by side, almost side by. They are side by side through the corner, with Jowett and Giattini running up to turn 2. Burks has got back his third spot. Rilridge is in fourth, Molesworth in fifth, and we go on board with Burks into turn 2 as we see Jowett get the lead back ahead of Giattini. So the three cars will be running line astern as they head over the top. A great time. Oh, there was a bit of a touch up there. I think Giattini had a bit more pace, and it may cost him second position. No.
Matty Burks just rolling out of it a little bit.
Now he's going to have a run at him at turn 5. Giattini on Jowett.
The two Hondas were so focused on each other that Matty Burks has just got blot up the inside of the pair of them.
And takes the lead. He's leading by turn 6. What a move. Rilridge is still in 4th position. Molesworth 5th. First of the Lamores, the next one ahead of Seeley, then the second of the Lamores, Robson, Fitzgerald. Just the 10 cars. It's a great dice going back here amongst these
less fast cars.
So we assume Burks is still in front. We just lost sight of where our leaders were for the moment. But what a move. Burks from P3 to P1 in just a couple of corners.
In one fell swoop. In fact, Burks has pulled out a little bit of a gap now over Bob Jowett.
Yeah, Jowett in second, Giattini third, then it's Woolridge, Molesworth, Lamore in the Renault. That's Matt Lamore. No, sorry, Mark Lamore. Then it's Matt Lamore behind Seeley, Fitzgerald, Robson at the back. Robson, the smallest capacity class car in this race. So he's got his work cut out. Runs in the, they do recognise the 1.6 litre class, so if you're in that class, he's be a winner this weekend.
Good.
And he's also making a move on Fitzgerald out of turn 3 and gets the job done at turn 4. That moves him up into 9th position.
Oh, and Burks has got a 5-second penalty. Oh, there's a cat amongst the pigeons.
Well, that's it. He puts Jowett back in the box seat, doesn't he?
Well, although does it?
No, it doesn't.
Giattini has just passed Jowett, so...
Well, Giattini didn't finish the first race, so Jowett's still in the... And he's not done with this dice yet either. But he can finish third and win the round, which would probably be his main objective, I would think.
Oh, from here, yeah, sure, but... So let's see whether Burks can negate that 5-second penalty, at least in this race.
Well, he's out to 3.4 now,
Yeah,
so
well,
there's a good chance that he may still win this race. But Jowett will win the round if he stays, if he stays where he is. And I dare say he'd like to repass that black Civic and get second spot back. Rilridge still has 4th position, but he's always been good in the opening laps. It's just whether he can maintain that pace throughout. He does have the Rilridge Escort, the Molesworth Celica and the Lamore Renault chasing him down at this stage.
Oh, that doesn't sound well. Something we just went past us on about 2.5 cylinders.
That might be the Fitzgerald Honda by the sound of it.
Might be why Robson Minor was able to pass him over the tunnel.
So I don't know if Gerald's got an answer to Giattini at this stage, because this car will be in the over 2 litre race as well with brother Aaron at the wheel. And that leads 3.87 seconds. So it's only 1.2 off being 5. Burke's now got it out to 4.5 seconds, so it doesn't take long. It's the second half of that lap where he seems to have the pace on everyone, isn't it?
The fast flowing bits.
Yep.
Is that Fitzgerald there? Yes, it is.
He's got dramas, and
that's not well. Is he coming into the back of the pits? Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's not the back of the pits. That's turn 6.
Yeah, I dare say from what we heard, it was running on less than 4 cylinders.
Yeah, fewer than the recommended number. And Burks is now out to that 5-second lead, so the penalty...
He's negated the gap. Well, I honestly thought that they would all be very close together, but Burks did his lap times in traffic, whereas the others were free to air, so... Which is a bit like what you get with the live stream TV.
That sounds even worse
TV.
now, yeah.
Yeah, obviously Fitzgerald's continuing on just to get points.
Out of sheer stubbornness.
Or that too. Oh, I suppose if you're out here to race, you might as well keep going while you can.
Well, as long as you haven't got little bits of metal floating around in the engine that are turning other little bits of metal into even smaller bits of metal.
That gap's back down under 5 seconds.
Yep.
So it's the second half of this lap from this point onwards where Burks will eke out that lead again.
Come on, Matty, get on with it.
So his second sector is his slowest sector, and obviously not quite as fast as some of the other people.
So he's out to 5.7, so he's taken 0.6 of a second off the others in that sector.
Well, Jowett's not let Giattini get away with this. He's still there. And what we're seeing today is a lot of dices for second spot, haven't we? Seems to be the norm at the moment.
Fitz has given it away.
Yeah. Wise move, I would think. And in the background, Molesworth has actually pulled in. And while we're saying that, Jowett quite close to the back. And we've been deceived by the pit camera angle there.
Yep. The foreshortening effect of a long lens.
Yes. But in the background, Molesworth's got right close on the back of Wildridge, so we may see a positional change there. Just waiting for him to come through. They're a lot closer this time.
Showing as a 0.3 of a second.
And on that lap, there was 0.6 of a second difference in their lap speed, so on their lap times. So the Escort doesn't maintain its early starting positions. It gets away, it's well positioned early, and then just starts to fade away in the second half of the races. Still got 8 minutes of this to go, so his chances of holding on to this spot, which is 4th at the moment.
Well, let's not write him off. We've just seen a very defensive drive in the last race. Maybe we'll see another one here. And Molesworth having a look, but
just
nothing
a bit
doing.
Of cool air.
Yeah, just having a look.
Because it's if you're not in Sydney watching this, you're elsewhere. The sun's shining. It's a beautiful warm day.
It's a cracker of a day. You wouldn't know we're a week away from winter. But then I think winter's the best time in Sydney.
Now he's got quite close to him. So where is the advantage for this car now? Is it straight line performance or is it in its handling? We'll find out very shortly. Giattini still holds second. The gap is now out to 6.9 seconds, so he's more than consolidated today. That's Burks I'm talking about. And looks like Molesworth is attempting to pull out as they head down the straight. He's got closer, but I don't think he's close enough to get past. at this point.
He's certainly irritating, Matthew Wildridge. Just lurking back there.
Well, I think we're determined that he can't get past in a straight line unless he's right in his underneath that rear spoiler.
Now, this model Celica is not the first car you'd think of for an under 2 litre improved production car, I would say. Is that one of the Colin Osborne production cars, perhaps?
I'm not sure about that. But he's making a good run at it.
Yeah.
I was thinking it might more likely Alan Shepard's car, but could be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It's the right colour.
Yes. The thrifty rent-a-car blue.
Rilwich is doing a good defensive job, although he's run a little bit wide out of turn 8.
Well,
but I think he's had enough advantage to keep hold of it, or has he?
Or has he? Yeah, well, that's that. Yeah, he took the normal line there, and Molesworth took a very shallow exit. No doubt.
Shallow exit means that you lose a little bit of speed as well.
But you're hoping for that run up the inside on the way out of the corner, which didn't happen.
Yeah, I think he's a bit closer this time as they head down the straight. And we still got Mark Lamore.
Got him.
Hovering in the background there, not close enough to cause any damage, but Molesworth goes through to 4th position as they head into turn 1. Can Wildridge come back at him? Probably not the part of the track that suits the Escort as much as a newer Celica, newer model. Both not new by any stretch of the imagination.
It's a lot less new. The Escort's a lot less new though than the Celica is.
Yes.
The Escort with such modern amenities as leaf springs, have a live axle.
And seatbelts.
Well, they've all got seatbelts.
We had an Escort in Ireland. My dad and I, many years ago, didn't have seatbelts in it. So Burke's lead is out now to 9.5 seconds. So it's a good comeback from a DNF in race 1, 3rd in race 2, and now in front in this race. So he comes down the straight. There he is, crossing the line to finish lap 7. Still got over 3.5 minutes of this race to go. And we didn't get to see a lot of the in-car footage because he's been out in front.
Yeah.
There's nothing much to see unless, he's not sparing the rod, Eddie. And pinched a brake going into turn 2. And problems for GT.
Yeah.
So this will well and truly secure Jowett the round victory. And it might mean Aaron G&T won't get to run later in the day. Could be a possibility of another gearbox issue for that car.
Oh, that'd be like 2 in 1 weekend. Would be a bit much, wouldn't it?
Well, you wouldn't go home and fix it now. You'd go home and put it away for a...
Well, he's pulling off onto the grass.
That might be more so.
He's not even trying to get to the back gate.
Yeah. Which is only just over the rise.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were up till midnight last night getting that gearbox changed in that car to be back here today. And what it has done is moved Tim Molesworth up to 3rd position. And he's actually started to put a bit of a gap on Matt Wildridge in the Escort. And then, of course, in position 5 will be Mark Lamore, followed by, well, Jonathan Seeley now with Giantini out. And then we've got Matt Lamore, and Max Robson moves up to position 8. Wildridge is still trying desperately to stick with Molesworth because there's a top 3 position up for grabs here. And there is our race leader. Just puff of smoke as he goes down through turn 2, lifts that inside rear wheel through that tighter corner. Bouncing around.
There's that onboard shot. Yeah.
Here we go with our onboard.
Gary really loves this shot.
I love this shot. I think it's fantastic. The camera angles were just perfect. And you really get a feel for what the track's like. And also, we can be very critical of his lines if we were that way inclined.
Give me a minute. You know what? So far, no problem at all. He's hitting every
nailed
apex.
it perfectly.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how he takes turns 10 and 11. That double apex, almost one corner, isn't it?
Mm.
And down here, you've almost got to go past the end of the fence there on the inside before you actually turn the wheel. Now we won't get to see him out of turns 10 and 11.
41 seconds. Will we see a checkered flag this lap or next? The Crisis Transport Logistics sponsored car in the Crisis Transport Logistics sponsored race. It's all a bit of a win.
And
That
I think the
looks like a
checkered
checkered
flag
flag
is coming out.
Well done, Matty Burks.
He's had to get one back. The effort to fix their gearbox problems in after race 1.
And well done, Bob Jowett.
Bob Jowett not only finished second, but wins around here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Put him in good stead for the under 2 litre championship. And Tim Molesworth has fought hard to get past Matt Woolridge to secure a 3rd position in this race.
It's not over yet. The number of perverse results we've seen this weekend.
Well, they've been all your calls, the ones that have
Yeah,
gone bad.
I know. Yeah.
And in the background, Mark Lamour in the Renault Clio Sport. A very different car to see in improved production. Something that they've toiled away with to get quicker and quicker. Gives a little flash of the lights so that...
And reliable.
Now you can see what the rear entrance of the pits looks like from a driver's perspective.
I'm very
results.
familiar.
There are our results. 14.8 seconds between first and second, with a further 15.9 seconds back to Molesworth in 3rd. Realbridge not far behind him, just 0.9 of a second. Lamour not far off that as well. He was on the straight when they took the checkered flag. Jonathan Seeley, Matt Lamour and Max Robson rounded out our field.